internet is working tonight? Hello? We just wait a little bit to see. I think everyone is coming. All right, so I think we start now. Hello everyone. Okay, I'll see you guys here again. So I got a lot of questions here about writing today. So our focus will be mainly on writing tonight. First of all, it's Santosh. Hello Santosh. So you have questions about how to score high in writing. And in terms of a writing score, first of all, we have to think about which part of the session that we can actually get marks for writing. So of course, in the writing part, you have your essay and your summarized written task. Essay and summarized written task. Apart from that, you get your writing, you get a lot of marks for your summarized spoken test, which is the first task in the listening. On top of that, you do get a lot of marks for your write from dictation. And you do get a little bit marks from your reading, fill in blanks, and in the listening part, fill in blanks. So if you are not really good in writing, first of all, think about yourself. If you are super good at write from dictation, if in the exam you have only, about, let's say, 3 sentences for your write from dictation, but however you're not able to manage doing at least 1 sentence of them, then you will have a big problem about your writing marks, because if you have 3 sentences of your dictation, you would roughly share around 28 to 35 marks for your writing. So that depends on the length of your dictations. Okay, that's for your dictation. If your dictations are super good, and then now let's check yourself if you are super good for your essay. If you're super good for your essay, so ask yourself, have you memorized your templates? So we believe we shared with you about your problematic essay templates, and also we shared with you the argumentative essay templates. If both of the templates you're super good, then that means it's not your essay's problem. But on top of that, when it comes to essay, I do find a lot of students have problems that come to your topic sentences and your examples. So the topic of the essay is very simple. Normally when you read the essay, it's very simple. If the question asking you about what problems, how to solve it, if the question mentioned about what and how, most of the case the question is about problematic essay. That means you are going to use the problematic essay templates, and it will be related to the environmental problems. And if it's the question asking you what is your opinion, discuss, argument, like there are arguments, do you agree or disagree certain things, then there will be your argumentative essay. And the most difficult parts will be finding the topic sentences. And what are the words of topic sentences? Very simple. Go to look for the question mark. So in the question, what I found is in the real exam question, they do give you a really lengthy questions. The question might be more than 2 sentences, or sometimes more than 3 sentences. So under this case, look for the question mark. Go straight to the question mark. Wherever you see the question mark, there will be the question, and there will be actually a key content sentence. So change that question into a statement. If you are using off templates, and there will be the sentence that you put over there, it can be a grade. That is the sentence that you change the question mark into a statement. So it can be a grade, the statement over there, that will be something in your introduction part as your topic sentence. Apart from that, it's your body 1 and body 2. Just make sure that when you give an example, your example needs to be very precise and very down to earth. So I'll give you a particular example. So let's say we're talking about laws change human behavior. So there's a topic, say, a lot of people believe that law can change human behavior. Do you agree or disagree? And some of you said, yes, laws can change human behavior. And in the body 1, you start to use examples about law can change human behavior. The reason why law can change human behavior, you mentioned that due to the fear of punishment, individuals are following the law. And now you give an example. You said, due to the strict laws in the New South Wales government, traffic accident has been reduced by 20%. So now this is not a good example, because whoever read your example without reading your passage doesn't know what you're trying to say. The person who read your example will not be able to know that you're talking about something related to law. So for that case, how you can avoid it? Make sure that you make your example by mentioning your idea words and by mentioning your key topic words. So it's very simple. You're talking about people follow the rule because law is being restrict, and the law does give people punishment. On top of that, you said your key topic words is law can change human behavior. So what I'm picking is law, but I'm giving an example. It doesn't mean that I have to use law. So I can use traffic law, or I can use any specific terms of a law. And you said people follow the rules. What kind of the rules people has been following? A very simple one is we do have speeding cameras. So you can see a lot of people are avoiding speeding cameras. So now we put them into an example. You can see, for example, research has found out due to the enforcement of the strict traffic rules and the heavy fines, now drivers are trying to avoid using phones and trying to avoid their speed while driving. So under this case, you mentioning about your topic, you did mention about your idea at the same time. So whoever read your, for example, they knows what you're talking about. They knows, okay, certain law are changing people's behavior. So I repeat one more time this example. What you can say is you can write, for example, due to the fear of getting heavy fines from the government, individuals or individual drivers are trying to reducing your speed, or individual drivers are eliminating their usage of their mobiles while driving. Okay, so that is your example problem. On the body 2 normally we suggest you to write a disagreement. So a disagreement doesn't mean that you have to write another topic. So you're talking about the law change human behavior. Then on your body 2, you simply just need to write, well, laws cannot change certain behavior, such as inborn nature. So a lot of people are born with aggressive natures. Under this case, laws cannot change such behavior. That is it. So make sure that check yourself, your ideas and your example should be relevant, and your example needs to be very precise. Make sure that if you are someone to read your example, do you understand what are you trying to explain? That's it. Okay, apart from that is your summarize spoken test. Summarize written task, we have mentioned several times before. So the key thing is you find the introduction part and the conclusion part. As for summarize spoken test, is on your notes taking. So I will mention this a little bit because we do have several questions about the retail lecture. So I will combine summarize spoken test and the retail lecture together a little bit later. So this is your writing part. To score writing is something that you shouldn't worry a lot. So make sure that you work on your write from dictation and check your essay whether you are okay for your 4 paragraphs, introduction, body 1, body 2, and your ideas and examples needs to be very precise. On top of that is your summarize written task. Summarize written task does require you to have connectors, we have mentioned before. So make sure that you have connectors, and please do not write too less. So when the passage is around, let's say 200 words or 300 words, make sure that you write a little bit more, in between 45 to 60 words. Of course, you can write it around 65, but don't write more than 65 words. Try to write less than that. If you write 30 words or less, obviously you are missing contents. And when you're writing your summaries, make sure that you use connectors. So those connectors you can use, furthermore, moreover, yet, but, also, however, although, despite, due to, because of. So those kind of connectors, it helps you a lot for your summary in writing. All right, so this is for Santosh. And Santosh, I believe you have another question about, oh yeah, you have scored high in writing. Yeah, and that's Yeah, so I answered your question. As for the summarized written task, spoken test, and your retail lecture, we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, now it's sis. Sis, you have a question about speaking mainly. So you said how to improve your pronunciation mark from 10 till 90, so as to the fluency, and also how to check your speed. This is a very good question. I believe a lot of you guys are having certain difficulties about your speaking. So I have the problem about speaking, to be honest, because first of all, I am a female and I am from China. So why it's difficult for me? So before PT started this exam, they actually take sound sample from every single country for both male and female. But however, I don't know why. Maybe they hate Chinese ladies. So they didn't take sound samples from female in China. And females' voice tend to be a little bit lighter. So it's really hard for me to get a higher pronunciation. So what I did, how I practiced it, so I think this is a good maybe personal experience to share with you. So pronunciation, if you're a girl, like if you're ladies, so normally we talk a little bit soft. So you have several ways. First of all, you need to pronounce in a way that not from your throat, it's from your tummy, the sound. So now you can see that my voice is a bit with high pitch. So I am pronouncing things from here. But now I'm changing a little bit, so you can feel the difference. So today we are going to talk about certain things about pronunciation. So the sound has been reduced a little bit deeper, but not that obvious. So when I practice this, I encourage you to practice with loudness first. So try to be loud. If you find it very uncomfortable to be loud, what you can do is you search on YouTube, 10 hours noise in the office. So open the noise as your background while you practice, because it's really annoying. It forces you to be loud, and you will feel more comfortable to do this task. Secondly, if you practiced and it's not working, try to think about how you actually did in your speaking part. Where did you put your microphone? So I did have some friends who do this exam. She come back to told me that she always get bad fluency, pronunciation fluency mark. The reason why is she has been putting her microphone very close to her nose, because in the exam, we told the students that you put the microphone from your upper lip a little bit, 4 fingers away. So it's in here, so you can see from this position. So it's in here, 4 fingers away. But sometimes in the exam, because the audio or the microphone has been used several times, certain students were trying to adjust a lot. So it's get loose in the exam. So it's really close to your nose or your mouth. If that's the case, it does impact your pronunciation if you are someone that create air sound. Air sound is certain sounds like a very strong p, a b sound. So make sure that you leave your hand 4 fingers away and put your microphone over here. But if you're guys, your finger is a bit thicker, so maybe it's 2 or 3 fingers away from your upper lips. So in that case, first of all, it can avoid your air sound, so you won't have bad fluency mark. And after that, for the fluency mark, fluency is not about speedy. Obviously, you need to have a little bit of speed, but you can't be slow. I'll give you an example. So some of students go to the exam to do this. So there is, let's say, a describe image. So I use this as your read aloud. So you go to the describe image, you start to say this. Because you memorize the template so well, you start to talk in a very fast speed. The given presentation is image, and it is providing the clear reflection of a map. The data is given in the form of colors, as it can be clearly seen from the demonstration that there are some variations, but towards the beginning it is visible that the first factor is. So I guarantee a lot of you guys are doing such speed. It is too fast. If you are a human being, you still have to pay a lot of attention on listening what this person is talking about. Can you imagine if that's a machine, the machine has been set it up with certain speed, or the way they catch us sound. So it's a bit too fast for the computer. And some of you say, okay, you asked me to slow, and you start to be very slow. So you slow in the speed like the given presentation is a picture, and it is providing the clear reflection of a map, and the data is given in the form of certain variations, colors, as it can be clearly seen from the demonstration that there are some variations. So your speed goes like this. Whether it's in your describe image or in your read aloud, you start to have your intonations and you start to go very slow or extremely slow. You almost pronounce your word by word. So under this case, you might have a good pronunciation mark, but you will have a very bad fluency mark because you are pronouncing word by word. So I give you a speed, two different types of speed, a faster speed and a slower fluency. So in that case, you can compare yourself because some of us, we naturally talk faster. Some of us, we naturally talk slower. So if you have someone talk slower, you can do this way. The given presentation is a map and it is providing the clear reflection of share of world GDP, PPP, 2011 World Bank ICP. The data is given in the form of colors, as it can be clearly seen from the demonstration that there are some variations, but towards the beginning it is visible that the first factor is yellow. So this is the speed that when you are someone talk, okay, a little bit of faster. If you are someone slow, you can slow down it, no problem, as long as the way that you talk is consistent. The given presentation is an image and it is providing the clear reflection of a share of world GDP, PPP, 2011 World Bank ICP. The data is given in the form of colors, as it can be clearly seen from the demonstration that there are some variations, but towards the beginning. So you can do certain speed like this, but as long as you talk in a consistent sentence randomly. I hope this will help you for fluency and your speed. If you want to check your speed, it's a very good way that I believe everyone knows such thing called Google Translate. So download the Google Translate. If you want to check your speed, in particular for your read aloud, so use your normal speed to read aloud and record yourself with Google Translate. If Google Translate can catch 90% of your contents, that means, okay, your pronunciation is good and your speed is pretty good. But if you talk in a pretty fast way and the Google Translator might not catch most of the word, or they translate whatever you pronounce in a different words, that means you're too fast. So you can use this way to test yourself. Okay, as for your pronunciation marks, if you're really slow, I believe that you talk in a way that is very, you either have very high pitch or you are very quiet, like a lot of girls that no matter how loud you talk, you just cannot have a louder voice. So I encourage you, first of all, maybe try to cover your mouth in the exam like this. So imagine you are going to the mountain and your friend is walking in front of you, but somehow you can't catch their speech. So you ask them, slow down, but it's too far away. So you try to talk in this way. So you can hear my sound, now it sounds deeper. So you can practice this way when you do your practice of your speaking, all the speaking. So make sure that when you practice, you do it as the way it is. Don't do it only in your exam. And when you practice your loudness, make sure that you practice every day being loud. If you only being loud or use this way in your exam, you can't do well because you're not get used to do such position or such loudness. I hope this will help you. Make sure that when you put your hand over here, it's this. There's no gaps. Like this, okay? Yeah, so that's about your speaking. After that, we talk about your fill-in blanks. Someone? Okay, in the fill-in blanks, the forecast, I believe you have questions or doubts that in the exam we have drag and drop, and we also have drop downs. And you have questions why we only have one types. So even though it's one types, it's actually a combination of both. It's just we didn't put the options for the drag and drop. So you actually get the fill-in blanks for both different types of tasks in the reading. So don't ignore them. Don't consider those as just your drag and drop. It can be both. Okay. Retail lecture. Someone you have certain question about retail lecture, the words. So you might not be able to catch. So in our forecast file, the retail lecture tend to be a bit shorter. That's your key contents. So don't consider that's your script. That's your key content. So you just need to keep in mind, okay, I have certain topic, and this certain topic related to certain keywords. Those are your keywords that you need to remember, okay? And as for the retail lecture, now we talk about the retail lecture and your summarized spoken test. For the retail lecture, a lot of you guys say, what if I only write words, keywords? I give you an example. If you need 65 or lower than 65, or you maybe need 35 or 50, keywords are okay. But if you need 75, 79, or 90, unfortunately, random keyword is not going to work. I'm honest with you. 79, end of the day, is not an easy task to get. So retail lecture, okay, let me write my notes. First of all, retail lecture, you need to memorize your formats. If you're not good at your formats, unfortunately, it's not good enough. So retail lecture, first of all, you have to get your topic sentence. Your topic sentence will never be one word. Maybe sometimes when the topic talks about, say, animals, then that can be your topic. But in most of the case, your topic sentence is the speaker talks about as your first sentence. They include 2 to 5 words of your topic sentences. You must have those 2 to 5 words. It doesn't mean that you have to write a complete sentence. You just need to write some key content words. So today we are practicing a summarized spoken test actually with the student in the class. It's about Australian housing cycle. So the sentence started with today, the impact of young Australian moving houses at an early stage has been significant. So if this is your topic sentence, you don't need to write the impact of young Australian moving houses has been significant. You just need to write young Australian move house. That's it. So that will be your topic sentence. That's 4 words, sorry. Young Australians move houses or move home. That makes sense to you? I hope so. And then after that, you will hear certain sentences. So the problem is, as you listen, a lot of us tend to focus on taking notes, and you're writing a lot of notes. End of the day, you forget about the speaker talking. You only focus on your notes. But your notes is not clear, and your writing is not clear, and you're missing contents, and you're writing a lot of things like significant, beautiful, nice, it is, of, because of. So if you write those kind of words, they're useless. They're not helping you for your content words. So if you are only able to write key content words, try to write all your subjects, because the subject has meaning in it. Try to write one subject and one object. That will help you for your content. At least you know what's going on, what's happening in here. If you're able to write a little bit more, just write, every time you hear a sentence, just write your subject, verb, and object, 1 word each. That will help you to make up a very short phrase. So the Indian farmers we talked about before, right? They said, today 150,000 farmers in India have committed suicide. The high cost of seeds has pushed them to debt, and the debt pushed them to suicide. So this is a very simple example. So she said today, 150,000 farmers. We don't need to write today. If you're not fast enough to write the numbers, don't write it. You just need to write farmers in India. So farmers, India, committed suicide. That is your topic sentence. And after that, the second sentence, she talks about the seed. The high cost of seed has pushed the farmer to high debts, and they push them to suicide. So what you can have, this is your subject. Your subject is high cost seed. And then the next word is debt. And then the next word is suicide. So you don't need to write every single word for the sentence. You just need to write the key word. When you look at this word, you know, okay, what does this mean to me? Okay, and then on your keyword list, you should roughly have 25 to 30 keywords. And make sure that come to the ending part, try your best to write your last sentence, because it's very helpful for your last sentence. Last sentence, try to write a little bit more. Try to write 8 to 10 words for your retail lectures or your summarized spoken test. For the retail lectures, you can ignore the grammar a little bit. So when you start to talk, you use your templates. So you don't need to worry about your grammar. You can make a lot of mistakes, and you just kept on talking as long as you don't stop, and with your consistent speed, not really fast, clear pronunciation. But however, in the summarized spoken test, I do encourage you to pay attention to your listening. End of the day, it's a listening task. If you only focus on writing, then they could call it a writing task, not a listening task. So in the listening part, summarized spoken test, pay attention to what that the speaker is talking. At the same time, be selective on your notes. So only pick the one that has meanings. And after that, when you start to write, you can have a clear idea what does the speaker talks about. And the most important part, please write down your topic sentence into 2 to 5 words, and try your best to write your last sentence. So when I check homeworks, I found a lot of our students are not good at write the last sentence. The last sentence is actually mainly about the really last part, or sometimes you're not good at write the last 25%. The main reason is because you are paying a lot of attention on writing notes rather than listening. So be selective on your listening. Only the key word. 1 word or 2 words from your subject and your object. If you have time, pick a word, pick a verb. If you don't have time, leave your verb, because if you have your subject, if you have your object, you're able to choose a word in the middle by using your grammar. Okay, on top of that, let's talk about, okay, your retail lecture is done, your summarized spoken test done. Okay, summarized spoken test, there's a one single question. Some of you guys might have questions. So what kind of contents are good for me to get my writing and my listening mark? So if you are good at your topic sentence, you're pretty good at the notes. So what I found is you are good at taking notes for the first 50% of the audio, but somehow you're missing certain contents in the middle part of the passage. In that case, you will get maybe 1/3 of the marks. Depends on your writing. If your grammar is pretty bad and the way of writing doesn't actually represent the similar meaning of the original audio, then you're not getting much mark. But if you only missed the last sentences, your last sentence was not really click well with the original audio, then you might get 2/3 of your marks. So it really depends on your writing, and the most important thing is improve on your notes taking. Short phrases, you don't need to take notes, and please, if you need 79 single word, it's not good for you. All right, so okay, we have okay, Dictations. I hope I pronounced your name in the right way. So you mentioned about the files, about, I think we shared with you the new fill in blanks, the repeat sentences, and certain questions. So it's our mistakes actually. When we put them into the file, we didn't consider the way that it's difficult for you guys to open it. It is really small. When you zoom it, it might disappear. So this is our responsibility. I really apologize for that. We will do our best to fix this and send you guys a new link for that. Okay, as for the speaking, I think I did answer your question before. It's not about speedy. Try not to be so fast, because fast, if a little bit faster in your retail described image is actually fine. But if you're too fast in your read aloud, it's very, very bad. Read aloud, let's say back to 2016. If you do your read aloud in a very speedy way, you're okay actually. You can get very high fluency and pronunciation mark. But nowadays the read aloud actually has been getting a little bit difficult. So try to do your read aloud in a slower speed. So I give you an example, a very short sentence, because I can't remember a very long sentence. So there is a read aloud called yellow is the most optimistic color, yet surprisingly, right? So try not to do this. Yellow is the most optimistic color, yet surprisingly people lose their tempers in most often yellow rooms, that maybe cries more in yellow rooms. That is too fast, so no one is able to catch you. But if you do this, yellow is the most optimistic color, yet surprisingly people lose their tempers most often in yellow rooms, and babies cry more in yellow rooms. This is too slow, guys. We're doing an exam, we're not having a poem or anything. So a normal speed, yellow is the most optimistic color, yet surprisingly people lose their tempers most often in yellow rooms, and babies cry more in yellow rooms. So I hope this will give you a clear direction about your speed. So pronounce clearly. If you still don't know your speed, use Google Translate. It's very helpful. Or you can download, if you have an iPhone, download this app called Dictation. It detects you very well. If you're too fast, they actually translate your pronunciation into some other words. If you're too slow, they translate your pronunciation into 2 words. You have to have a moderate speed for that. Okay? And retail lecture answered your question. And okay, so I have a question from okay, Hassan, you said the problematic, you mentioned one essay topic in the comments, say what is the most pressing issue that government organization is facing now, how to solve it. So yes, that is a problematic essay. You can simply say the environmental problem has been one of the most alarming concerns. So you can use that problematic essay for that question. So normally when you see what is the issue, how to solve this issue, whenever you see this what and how, most of the case are your problematic essay. There is one question they might ask you, say, natural habitat has been facing a lot of difficulties. Who do you think should be responsible to solve these issues? It's government, private sectors, or individuals. So under this case, the problematic essay is not good for this topic, because the problematic essay talks a lot about pollution, climate change, global warming. The natural habitats, yes, it does relate it, but not that directly linked with that problematic essay. So if you get natural habitats one, try to use the argumentative essay templates. All right, that's that one. And Jonathan, you are asking whether it works. I actually forgot your question, so I'll go to check one more time. Yes, according to your question, it works. I actually forgot. I just write, yes, it works. So I will check your question one more time. I'm very sorry. There are a lot of notes in here. Okay, so Anupa? All right, so you have questions about your vocabulary marks. Vocabulary marks are from your summarized spoken test, summarized written task, your essay, your dictations, and your fill-in blanks. Okay, so one more time, your vocabulary marks from your summarized written task, summarized spoken test, essay, dictations, fill-in blanks. So, you said how we can give you some tips that you can memorize some vocabularies. It helps you to improve your vocabulary marks. If you have memorized the essay templates, I believe you have noticed that there are a lot of difficult words for you. That is enough for your essay. And another thing is, try to use synonyms for your essay key topics. Okay, remember this part. You use the synonyms for your key topic words in your essay only at body 1 and body 2. Use the exact same word from the question for the essay introduction and your conclusion. Okay? As the summarized spoken test and summarized written task, okay, this part I have a lot of questions that students are trying to use synonyms. So if I give you a question, so I think, okay, zoo. So zoo is good for animals or not? And some of you try to paraphrase or change another way to say the man-made animal protections. Does zoo equal to man-made animal protections? If this is your synonyms, unfortunately, you are losing all your key content words. So vocabulary marks doesn't mean that you have to use a lot of synonyms. It doesn't mean that you have to use a lot of difficult words. It means that you have a broad range of vocabularies. A very simple example, US, USA, America, the United States. That is your vocabularies. It does improve your vocabulary marks if you write in 4 different ways. On top of that, when it comes to summarized spoken test, summarized written task, please do not paraphrase your key content words. If it's about zoo, if it's about animal, just use the exact same word. And how can you increase your other vocabulary marks? Try to work on the vocabulary mark from your connectors, your structure words. For example, if the question talks about because of, you can use due to or based on. If the question, you always use the speaker mentioned, the speaker talks about, the speaker said. You can use elaborate, delineate, demonstrate, what is called discussed, puts forward. You can use those kind of words, structure words, to improve your vocabulary marks, but not content words. Keep your content words as whatever the speaker says or as the passage showed you. Okay, change the grammar words or grammatical words, or change the connectors or the linking words, the structure words. Okay, apart from that, spelling. Okay, you do have questions about your spelling errors. So you might say, I always type in a very good way. I tried Word documents that you don't have much mistakes, but why my spelling marks is very low? Fortunately, I guarantee you actually did a lot of backspace while typing in your essay, in your summarized spoken test, in your summarized written task. You was practicing delete, 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 and rewrite, delete, rewrite, delete, rewrite a lot. So that will influence your spelling mark. Okay. And key content answered. Okay, there was a reorder paragraph on the Facebook. I think one of you guys posting the reorder paragraphs over there. So that correct answer is 23415. 23415. So why is the sentence starting 2? Because that's introducing the topic about the signs. And then 1 and 5 has to be 1 first, because 5 the sentence 5 is a sentence that started with but. Obviously, there must be something mentioned before, it's opposite. That means number 5, it talks about the bad things. So mobile phones cannot do certain things. That means previously there must be a sentence talks about mobile phones can do something. So it's 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, your sentence. So you have your broad introduction about science first, and then you had your examples. So your fact first and your examples second. Okay? And yeah, I hope I answered all your questions from our Facebook. Okay. See if any missed none. Okay. So I have one. 𝗠𝗀𝗃, I think I answered your question about notes taking for your summarized spoken test and your retail lecture. And your fill in blanks, how to improve your fill in blanks. Fill in blanks, try to check 2 weeks ago, I had my live over there. I did mention a lot of details about how to do your fill in blanks. Because of the time today, I have to cut it very short. And Banu, you said exam days. That date is okay, 10th of January is a good date, but if you can put a little bit earlier, that will be better for you, okay? Okay, let me double check if I have any questions from Facebook. What to choose as a time? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much if you're a big fan of my method. Okay, spelling. We get marks of spelling. Which task we get spelling? Okay, I answered your question about spelling marks. Spelling marks, you get spelling marks because of your essay writing, your summaries in both listening and your writing, and also you do get your spelling marks from your fill in blanks. So spelling marks are largely related to your writings. Things related to writing helps your affect your spelling. Backspace in writing school. The backspace in writing. So there are 2 ways about backspace. So normally backspace, a lot of you guys, I believe that you have the habit of listening and typing. So as you listen and you type all your notes into the box that you have under your exam questions. So under this case, if you simply just use your connectors, or you might delete certain words, you don't lose your spelling marks. So you type your notes in the box in the listening. Of course, I still encourage you to write your notes on the notebook, not type directly. But if you already have the habit of typing, that is fine. So as you type your notes, and you might delete certain words, or you might fix your words. For example, instance, you have a wrong spelling, but you know this instance, you are fixing it. That is fine. So under this case, you will lose your spelling mark, but you don't lose your writing mark, or you don't lose your listening mark. But however, if you're someone, you're writing essay, you are writing an essay, the essay was asking you, for example, the natural habitats, the question. The question was asking you who should be responsible to protect the natural habitats. And you thought this is a problematic essay. You were writing halfway, and you realized, oh, this is wrong. And you try to delete everything. And then you start to rewrite an argumentative essay, because whatever you deleted, you didn't fix in the similar way. However, you write the new content, completely new contents. Under this case, you do have lower spelling marks, and you will have a penalty mark for your writing. Okay. Oh, the app name that I mentioned is called Dictation. It's just on Apple Store. You can find it. It's called Dictation. If you don't have Apple, if you don't have iPhone, you just use Google Translate. It's very helpful. Yes, it's called Dictation. How to get 79 plus in listening and tips for dictations. So for getting 79 plus in listening is not a very difficult task. First of all, you need to make sure that your repeat sentence and your retail lectures are very good. You have to be very fluent and have 80% of your contents. Secondly, you have to have excellent dictations. Excellent dictations doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. You are allowed to make mistakes, but make sure that you don't make huge mistakes. If you have 3 dictations, at least you should have 2 sentences are very beautiful, have no mistakes. You have 1 sentence that you might have, certain words that you're not really sure, or you might miss a small word in the middle. That is fine. Make sure that your dictations are good, very good. It has to be very good dictations. And your summarize spoken test as the way that I mentioned before, the way that you take your notes, the first sentence and the conclusion sentence. In the middle parts, just make sure that you write, in the middle part, you write 2 explanations. Write 1 explanation and write a new idea. Repeat sentence, you get marks for each word. Repeat sentence is more like it gives you a lot of marks for your what is it called? It gives you a lot of marks for your fluency. It's not about each word. You should get 80% of the key content words. If you're getting 80% and the message you pass, the sentence that you repeat, even though you miss certain words, but the meaning doesn't change. You pass a correct information, you don't lose any mark for that sentence. I hope that helped you. For example, if you said Professor Smith is going to be late for today's lecture, and however you said Professor Smith is late for today's lecture, you will still be okay. You will still get your 4 marks for that sentence because you're fluent and you did get 80% of the contents, and the message that you passed is actually really correct. Repeat sentence does contribute a lot of marks for your fluency. It's very, very important for your fluency. Right from dictation, I'm really sorry if you ask me a shortcut. I don't have a shortcut. I'm not a smart person. I did get my results after a lot of practices, so I do believe practices make you perfect. If you are not good at dictation, I believe you might not be good at your repeat sentence. So try to take notes for your dictation first. Repeat sentence, you don't need to take notes. Try to remember the beginning words, the ending words, and dictations. Try to write the initials of the words. Initials, it helps you a lot. Do we need to choose a side in the beginning of the essay? Yes. For the essay part, make sure that at your introduction part, you have to agree with one thing. If it's argumentative essay, they're normally asking you, should government contribute more on health or education? Please don't say both. You have to agree with one thing. It's an argument. So whether you agree or disagree in real life, you just agree with something that is easy for you to write. Agree with something. Your agreement has to be mentioned at the introduction part. And just choose study purpose. Don't need to choose the PR purpose. Just choose study purpose. Yeah, so I think I answered everyone's question. So hope you guys will all pass your 79. I hope you guys will have a very good Christmas, and you all gonna smash your PTE 90, and you will have your PR in 2019. Everyone will have it. Happy New Year. Any questions, leave comments under your Facebook or under your YouTube. Okay, today we are up here now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye. All right, now it's a problem that I know how to end it.